how do you picture leadership? Is it an obligation or an opportunity? Is it a drudgery or is it a delight? Is it a predicament or it is a possibility? Now, I don't think there are any reluctant leaders in this room, or you wouldn't have gotten out on this snowy morning. But some people are reluctant leaders. So my question for you is, why should you not participate in a leadership role next year? Does anyone have an answer? Why should you not serve as a leader?
Because you want a break.
You want a break. Well, the two reasons I thought of were, number one, time, and number two, having to work with so many different kinds of people. Let's talk about the time one. I can absolutely identify with this one because I was around Toastmasters for 5 years before I joined. And the reason was I didn't have enough time. Now, I saw the value of Toastmasters. I was a teacher, and I took my students to contests, and when the Toastmasters were the judges, they got fair judging, and they got really positive feedback afterwards. So, being a smart lady, I figured out, let's take it to Toastmasters before they go to the contest. And I did that for 5 years. Every spring, they knew I'd be showing up with my kids and get good evaluations and help for my students, and they started winning those contests. Finally, after 5 years, one Toastmaster finally asked me, why don't you join? I think that club needed the close the sale module. But after he did, and I said, I was ready. I had my speech prepared. I don't have any time. I'm a very busy woman. And he said, Linda, you could join for the summer. I could do that. And then, in the fall, when I assigned those speeches, I could tell my students, I feel your pain. The problem was, at the end of the summer, I didn't. I loved it and realized Toastmasters was the most cost-effective teacher preparation program anywhere. I approached the board. Every Toastmaster in our club is a supported Toastmaster, and not to mention an active one. And then we started, but there's so much more that happened. The point is, after I saw the value for myself, then suddenly I had the time. I'm not less busy than I was before. I am much more busy. But I've learned management skills, I've learned time controlling skills, and I am able to get the value from Toastmasters. The second reason for not serving in leadership is just having to work with so many different kinds of people. Now, some of you are sitting there and thinking, if they were all like me, it would be easy.
Oh, no.
But they're not, are they? And a lot of people spend a lot of time separating people. Now, Doug has categorized me as an engineer now. I'm trying to correct that I'm not an engineer, I'm a teacher. But we do categorize people into different groups, don't we? So because I am not an engineer, but a math teacher, I'm going to categorize people into 3 different groups: circles, squares, and squiggles. Now, this is definitely an oversimplification, but I want to make a point. So these, down through D, you guys are going to be the squares. Oh, nice. You guys over here are going to be the circles. And back here at the back, you're the squiggles. Now, let's talk about square competencies, square characteristics. You all are the sturdy, the steadfast ones. You read the rules and follow them. You are the ones who are wanting to make sure everything's right. You're the logical ones. Those rules are for everybody.
Yes.
There we go. Body. I drive square. Circles. You're the people. You're the ones who are empathetic. You roll with the flow. You easily adapt to situations. You have empathy. You are listeners, and you're great communicators.
We feel for you.
Now the problem is, the circles have a little bit of trouble with the squares. The squares are all nice and orderly and sit out there, and the circles, they just don't quite get it, what the squares are doing. And the squares look at those circles, they think they're so flighty. They'll just roll around just wherever, and they have a problem. But both groups, they don't have any idea what to do with the squiggles. The squiggles truly are outside the box. They're the what-if people. They're the creative ones, always coming up with new ideas and different ways to do things. So what if you accept a role as an area governor, and you've got in your area squares, circles, and squiggles, and you're a triangle? Now, if you decide as an area governor that you are going to turn them into triangles, you are going to be one frustrated area governor. Because you take the squares and you say, now look, it's not really too difficult to go from a square to a triangle. All we have to do is cut you across your diagonal. They don't seem to be too interested. And I go to the circles and I say, look, we just take 3 points and stabilize them, and then pull really hard. They didn't like it either. And the squiggles, there's no way you're going to turn a squiggle into a triangle. But isn't that the way it is in life? When my husband and I first got married, and that was 45 years ago, so we've worked through this, you understand. But when we first got married, everything was wonderful. But after a little while, there were some things I noticed about Tim. There were some ways he wasn't quite as wonderful as I was. Sadly, he observed there were some ways I wasn't quite as wonderful as he was. For example, he loved my energy. He loved my enthusiasm. I'm always moving forward. But the problem is, because I'm always moving forward, I don't notice the lights I'm leaving on behind me. And in a good evening, I can get every light in the house on and several lamps beside. And he just couldn't understand why I couldn't understand the value of saving money and turning the lights off. And those tiny things can escalate into a World War III. They really can. Unless you can see the value in each individual and in the ways each one has something to contribute. Well, Toastmasters is working on developing leaders. You notice our tagline now is what? Where leaders are made. Where leaders are made. And when this first came out, people were thinking, what's with this? What's going on? Are we losing the communication part? And no, we're not losing the communication part, but leaders need to be good communicators. And this is part of the 10-year strategic plan. This is also part of this revitalized education program. Because in this program, what is happening is there's going to be much of the leadership competencies put into that and helping you to develop them. And Toastmasters has just released competencies for every one of the district leaders. And we're getting new district leader titles. So the district governor next year will be the district director. The lieutenant governor education, which perhaps, depending upon the elections, will be Doug, will be the program quality director. Wow. And the new LGM, instead of an LGM, will be a club growth director. We have to keep practicing those titles. But we also have managers. We're going to have a finance manager. Do you know what the secretary is going to be called? Administration manager. The public relations officer. That's not changed too much. Public relations manager. But that's the only one I'm sad they're changing the title, because I love to call my PROs proactive, right? And reactive just doesn't quite have the same ring. We also have the sergeant at arms, who's going to be the logistics manager. So we have new directors and we have managers. But the competencies are the particular skills that you need to fulfill this role well. Well, I looked at the competencies for area director and for district director, and I have divided them into squares, circles, and squiggles. Because you need all of these competencies to fulfill this role well. And let's go over this. Let's start with square competencies for an area director. Now look at each of these. Everyone, Jennifer, you have not served as an area governor yet. Yes, I have. Oh, you have. I apologize. I did not. When did you do that?
Last year.
Last year. Okay. Well, I knew you weren't currently. Okay. Well, congratulations. So everyone here has served as an area governor. No. Except for Michael. Okay, Michael. You're on the hot seat. No. And you have not? Rich has not. Oh, we just have to fresh meat in here, don't we? Awesome. All right, you guys. Now, you have already served as division governor, but at some point in your Toastmaster career, you may just think, wow, I sure missed out on a lot of fun because I never got to be area governor, and you may want to go back and pick that up. You know, even PDGs go back and become area governors. Sometimes it does happen. Dom is doing that.
Yes. One of my area governors.
He's one of your area governors. That's quite a role. Yes. Okay. So to be a great area governor, the first one is analytical skills. Who can tell me why an area director, not area governor, area director needs analytical skills to serve in this role well?
You need to figure out what's missing in one of the clubs they're supporting.
Okay. What they're missing, are you thinking in terms of the DCP?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of
or
the
just
DCP?
plain growth.
Or in plain growth, membership growth?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay.
They need to analyze the strengths and weakness of their clubs.
Okay. Excellent. If you can't figure out what the problem is, how are you going to be able to come up with a solution? So good analytical skills are important. What if this working knowledge is working knowledge of the district leadership handbook and the club leadership handbook. Now, why would you need working knowledge, D, of the district leadership handbook?
In case you have questions on what is correct and not correct to do.
Okay. Because Dee asked me a question yesterday concerning the conference, and I could go to that district leadership handbook. Now, I didn't have that answer on the tip of my tongue. I told her what I thought it was, but I went back and I went to it. So that working knowledge means you have enough sense to go and check it out. So I checked it out, and we were correct in what we decided. So being able, you need to read through it. See, these guys are the ones who do their homework. Okay? When you say, read the district leadership handbook, the information is there, they're the ones who do their homework. These are the guys who will call you up and ask. Okay? Right? Am I correct? But that working knowledge is really important to be an effective area governor. Committed to Toastmasters International goals and mission and the success. Are you committed to success for this year? Do you know what the Toastmasters, now not the district mission, do you know what the Toastmasters mission is? It's to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. That, if you need to be committed to that and see the value of that, or you're not going to be a powerful, effective area governor. You need to know the reason you're doing what you're doing. Goal-oriented. Do we have any goals in Toastmasters?
Okay.
How do you measure them? No? No goals? None? How can you measure those? How do you measure them for the club?
Manuals. Through the manuals and the goal sheet.
DCP points. The DCP points. Why are those DCP points so important? You know, is it just chalking up the numbers? What does it represent?
Should indicate the health of the club.
Absolutely. If you're pushing toward a quality club, the DCP goals follow, don't they? Because you're using the program of Toastmasters. And if you have that focus straight in your head, you're going to be much more effective as an area governor. Not just walking in and saying, well, I need 2 distinguished clubs in this area if I'm going to be a distinguished area, so you guys are going to get with the program. That's not exactly the way to do it. But goal-oriented, putting the club first. Where to find resources. How you can get to the resources that you need. Again, you don't have to have the answers to all the questions. You just need to know where to find the answers to the questions. Can anybody tell me why it's important to be diligent to be an area director?
Because you're going to run into obstacles.
That's right. And if you fold up when that first obstacle comes, you're not going to be growing as a leader, are you? If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. But if you're willing to look at challenges as opportunities, you're going to be personally a better person, a stronger person when you finish that year as the area governor. Now they've gone to meddling, that last one. Punctuality. Punctuality? Why is punctuality important for an area governor?
Meetings
Director,
start on time.
I'll get right.
Meetings start on time.
Start on time. And if you come rushing in 5 minutes late,
Doesn't look good.
that doesn't look good. And you are a representative of Toastmasters. You are a district officer. Have any of you ever put on an area governor report, somebody from the district needs to visit them? You're from the district if you're an area director. You have visited them. And understand that you are a district officer. You are representing Toastmasters. And part of that is arriving on time. And truly, arriving on time for an area director means really arriving early. Why?
Connect.
To connect.
Right.
To connect with people. Because if you just come zooming in, sit down, take your place, get up, give your little thing, and leave, you haven't really visited them. You've just been there.
You attended.
Punctuality. Okay, do you see that you need to have some square characteristics in order to be an effective area governor? But you also need some circle characteristics. Because you're working with people, and you're working with people who can be very different from you. That first one is empathy. Empathy comes when I realize that my husband is a completely different person and value him for who he is and start to understand why he's doing what he's doing. Just about a year ago, Tim looked at me and said, Linda, I finally figured out there really is a reason for everything you do. It took him a while. But empathizing with each other and understanding where they're coming from. They're not you. They're not identical to you. But what do we share in common, all of us? Even though we're all very different.
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, we've got the same goal, to become better communicators and leaders. And if we can understand that, we can work through a lot of differences. Because we do approach things differently. Doug and I were talking on the way over, that we have some different ideas about some things. But because of his personality, the way he does it is the best. I wouldn't do very well at the way he's chartering clubs, because I'm a very different person. He's doing a fabulous job. So I'm not going to say, well, you really should be like me. Well, back when I was this lieutenant governor of marketing. No, it's empathizing and understanding. Each of us has something valuable to offer. And then we can be much more effective. Considerate. Considerate of respect people's time, respect other people. And when you're giving a presentation, make sure you have a timer so you don't go over. That would be extremely rude. Make sure that you're following that time. Also, service. One reason for that it's good to change to area director from area governor, because there have been a lot of area governors in the past that let the governor thing go to their heads.
Take it literally?
Yes. Governor may be like dictator, but director is also not dictator. But if you understand that your role is for service to this organization and to the clubs, it will make a great difference in how you treat people. Respect, we've talked about that a good bit, but respect for other people's ideas, respect for their time, respect in many ways. Let's put patience and tact together.
Oh, no. Patience.
You mean not everyone is on your timetable? It's true. And it's important to be able to work with people where they are and understand where they are. The tact one, I've really got a story for you. This is true. I could not make this up. There was one area governor who sent out an email to a lot of people saying that a different area governor should sit on a cactus for 2 hours to repent of something she had done.
Oh, my.
I kid you not.
That would be tough to make up.
Tact
No filter.
was not in evidence here. Okay, we've had a lot of counseling, and that particular individual, I am happy to say, has learned tact. But it was at some cost. Some cost. Approachable. Sometimes you have difficulty getting in contact with other people. Other clubs, do they have trouble getting in contact with you? Do you have your contact information on your email? Are you, and if you're not available at certain times, have you said that up front? Here's when I cannot be. Do not call me while I'm teaching a physics class. I won't talk to you. But call me at break, call me at noon, I'm happy to talk to you. So just being approachable and make sure that people understand when you can help. Motivating. You don't have a paycheck. You can't say, I'm going to fire you, club president, if you don't do what I'm doing. No. The only way you can motivate people is by inspiring them and encouraging them and making sure that you understand they are following the goals they have, and you want to encourage them to reach their goals, not just your personal goals. And finally, yes, Rich.
Are we open to ask questions and stuff?
Oh, yes, you may ask questions.
Well, some presidents, don't you think, I just filling in to get my president, you know, I really didn't want this job, and I'm just sitting here, so how do you encourage those type of people?
Right. Sometimes it's, they missed the meeting. That truly happened to one of our officers. Missed the meeting, she came back president. And she never let the club forget that. But how do you encourage them? Right? Let me throw that out to the group. How do you encourage those people?
Help them. Be there for them.
Okay.
Let them know they can do the job. You got faith in them.
Okay.
Allow them to take baby steps.
Good.
Show them all the things that they'll get out of the experience. Go with them.
Definitely the what's in it for me.
Point out that leadership training is part of what you're paying for with your dues and your time, and if you don't worry about, I mean, if you leave that out, then you're not getting your money's worth, you're not getting your time's worth.
You can model. Model for one thing. Another thing is, see if you can get them to come to an area council meeting and visit with other presidents. This president that got elected and wasn't doing anything, we had an area council meeting. This was back in the day. And we had an area council meeting, and I asked the president of another club, what plans do you have for this year? And he pulled out his little thing, and he was giving the list, and her eyes were getting bigger and bigger. And so when we said, and do you have some plans? Well, suddenly she was developing some plans. A little peer pressure can help also. But the motivating is, it's got to come from within them. You cannot give it to them from the outside. You can encourage, you can support, but finally they've got to see that it's worth it for themselves. So that's your role as area director, is to show them that there's value in it. And finally, adaptive. Are we adaptive or what?
Oh, yeah.
We've all got that characteristic. And that's awesome. But isn't it wonderful? When you see this happening, you pull together, you work together, you make it work well. And that is one way that leaders are made, is learning how to deal with whatever situation. You can make it work well. But We would not be complete area directors without our wonderful squiggles. We need squiggles. Now, notice that we had said before, commitment under the squares. We talked about commitment to the mission, or the success and mission of Toastmasters International. Squiggles, you guys have commitment. Squiggles have passion. We need commitment that keeps us going, even when times are tough. We need passion, because that's what really makes it happen. That helps you when you go to the Lawton newspaper and they haven't answered you. You've gone to them 4 times and they haven't been there. You go to that paper with your crew, 4 of you in all together, and you show that passion for Toastmasters and they say, yes ma'am. What can we do? How can we help you? Because they saw the true love of Toastmasters in Paula. Creativity. I'm sad Wanda's not here, because I have enjoyed Wanda's Wednesday wit. And I want to ask her why the wit, where that came from. But she is creative as an area governor, sending out information to our area governors. When my husband served as area governor, he said that the one thing he would have liked from his division governor was something every week of what he should be working on that week, because the job seemed so enormous. But if you had just one thing to be focusing on, that would have helped you. So some way to support each other. Enthusiasm and energetic. And you can't have the fake kind, you know. Okay, guys, let's do a cheer, you know. No, it's got to be genuine from your heart that you truly have this passion about Toastmasters, and that will truly communicate. And next, my favorite word, proactive. I love proactive. Anticipating issues before they arrive. And not just getting blindsided when something happens, because you're out there visiting the clubs, you're working with the clubs, and you're seeing when issues are threatening to develop, and you're working on that beforehand. Yes, sir?
Coming in.
Do you have an example about an issue that might come up that hits you blindsided? I mean,
well, I can think of a very good issue. Hey, Matt.
Morning.
Good to see you. An issue that really affected us, where I really was blindsided, was we went to a TLI at a beautiful facility for a club that it was just going great guns, and their mentor had been David Henderson, and I had actually helped to charter that club, and really strong. And they said, we're closing our doors and sending in our charter because we've lost all our funding. I'm totally blindsided at that point, and just lost the club. So those things happen, and I was not the area governor, but the area governor had not been visiting. So the area governor, there surely was something coming up, you know, some hint that this sort of thing could have happened, was going to happen. So you want to have enough communication with people so that if this thing is coming down the pike, you want to know it's coming down the pike. And the last one, coaching and mentoring. I put this under the squiggles because you have to think outside the box sometimes to coach and mentor well. But you really need a very healthy dash of square, knowing the rules, helping them, and a healthy dash of circle, empathy and understanding, along with being able to be creative in ways to solve problems and thinking outside the box. So if you want to be an effective area governor, you need square, you need circle, and you need squiggle.
What if one person is 2 things?
Everyone is all these things.
Okay.
That's why
You just need.
I really don't even like categorizing people. And I have protested. I've been trained and sliced and diced so many different directions. And you know, people want to put me in a box. I don't want to be in a box because I am growing and developing, and I'm gaining more characteristics all the time. So I don't classify myself as an introvert. A lot of people would, because I am very quiet much of the time, because I'm thinking and I talk when I have something to say, and I listen, and I prefer listening first. But I just feel like I can be what I need to be, you know, and
When you need to be.
and I'm developing all of these characteristics. So I don't want to be in a box. I want to be. I am the best Linda Williams that there is. You know, this Linda Williams that there can be. I couldn't be Dee. I couldn't be Paula. Although we're a lot alike, but I couldn't be Dee.
Wouldn't that be one of the reasons to stay involved in some way? Because you're forever transforming until you decide that you're...
Exactly. I have grown this year so much. You know, and every year I have grown and developed. And it's just exciting. I'm excited to see what I'm going to be like next year. Yeah. It will be fun.
So he's saying kind of like you have some innate characteristics
Sure.
to start with, and then you develop.
You're just growing
You
and
just develop some of the
all
others.
time. And see, that's it. You need to develop all
growing
these
with it.
characteristics. You need to develop as a circle and a squiggle. And you need to develop as become a better square. And I know you guys aren't really squares, but that's, you know, become a better whatever you are, but also develop all of these characteristics. And that's it. It's instead of confining ourselves, let's branch out and be more.
Growth.
Now, if you want to be division director, you need to add some things to that. The other one was a working knowledge of the district leadership handbook and the club leadership handbook. This one adds working knowledge of TI governing documents. These are the procedures, the protocol, and this, again, you don't have to have it memorized, but you really should read it through one full time. And then you'll have kind of an idea when you need to go back and look for things. Okay,
Can you give me an
Michael,
example?
Yes, sir. An example? I was asked a question. I've been asked a lot of questions this year. I've been asked questions about elections. I've been asked questions. There was one district has had some issues with some disciplinary procedures. I don't just give answers off the top of my head. I said, let me get back with you. Let me go check. And I read and make absolutely sure that I'm saying what's right. So sometimes we can give answers that we think are good, and they may have some elements of good in it, but you really want to make sure that you're a square in this case, and you go back to the book and make sure you get it right. Because people are relying on you for good information. Michael, why do you need to be independent as a division director?
I would say because you don't always have somebody pushing you, calling you and reminding you every week of what things need to be done.
It's kind of like the middle management. And you've got a responsibility with area directors beneath you. And so it's your role to take care of them. And if the trio is having to make sure you stay working, well, they might as well just make sure the area directors are staying working. So you need to be independent and able to make decisions and to work and to help support your area directors. And discipline to complete assigned responsibilities. Again, your job is to facilitate these area directors. And so you're giving them the support they need. So these are square characteristics that you need. Yes, Rich?
What if you had an area director, is that correct? Government director, and they didn't turn in their time, or their sheets, their information that they're supposed to in time? I mean, how do you politely say, come on, let's get it in on time?
Well, Doug did that. Tell us, you were talking to someone the other day. What did you say to them?
It's like giving an evaluation, but doing a speech evaluation, if you hold on to that speech evaluation for 4 to 6 months, what benefit did you give the person on your evaluation? So if you're holding a area visit report for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, or a month, or 2 months, or you wait until May, the last day to turn it in, so you've got your credit, but you didn't do the club any benefit. So you look at it as a speech evaluation. How do you feel if I were to give you a speech evaluation, Rich, and I wait 4 weeks to give you back your evaluation?
Absolutely cold.
It's like there was no value to it.
And then if you want to switch over to the what's in it for me, if you wait till the very last minute, you're going to have to put in at least 4 or at least 3 to make sure you get the 75%. And if you're just going for the point and you just do the 75%, that club is not getting the help they need. So we're going for 100%. So if you wait for the last day to do that, you are going to have frustration to the max.
You have to assume you can actually get in there.
Right. First of all, getting in there, not getting bumped off, and doing it, and just the stress that is involved, that's not going to do you any good. Plus, you know, and you could, something could happen that you wouldn't get it in and you wouldn't get the credit. So just on so many levels. Plus you're showing, if you do it immediately, you're going to remember better what you're doing and be able to think of things to say. Once it gets cold, you get the different clubs mixed up in your head.
As a division director, could you call 1-800-MAFIA to maybe put some...
We'll just appoint you the mafia for the district for next year. How's that? We'll let you go around and beat everyone.
We've got a new committee.
I mean a committee. Okay. So fulfilling these assigned responsibilities, and that is an important part of it. And explaining to your area governors why this is so important and encouraging them. And sometimes even stepping up and helping them with it if they are computer challenged and just really can't figure out how to do it. So just support them in any way that they are needing. Okay, our division directors also need a very important, oops, went too far, circle characteristic. Empowering and developing members. Do you know what the Toastmasters' vision is? To be the first class provider of, let me see, I've forgotten the first word. Anyway, it's highly valued, effective, experiential, highly valued, experiential communication and leadership development skills. There's one word right before that that I'm missing. But the vision is to be the first class provider. And if we are empowering and developing our members, we are helping, particularly empowering your area directors to become all they can be, but also always looking for leaders. Because this is the experiential part, the leadership. Toastmasters are made because we are encouraging other people to step up, and we're helping them to develop as leaders also. Dee, that's been a real passion of yours, to help other people step up and encourage them to complete their DTMs. And that is an important component of our leadership, empowering and developing other people. And finally, of course we need a squiggle. We've moved to strategic thinking and planning. Seeing the big picture of how we can provide the best support to our members and our clubs in your particular division, for each of the areas, in the district, and then finally for Toastmasters as a whole. So if you decide to step up to this leadership role as an area director, what should you do? My first recommendation is to find a current area governor to shadow. I just heard that word from you this morning, Michael. I had been saying become an assistant area governor for this year, director for next year. But I like that word, shadow. Following them around, see what they're doing. But also look through this list of characteristics and think of areas where you need to grow, and find someone who has those characteristics and ask them to mentor you. Mentoring is coming in the Revitalized Education Program. It's going to become a very important, more important part of our program. But the more you can look for mentors. And I have 3 mentors that I want to tell you about personally from my life. The first one is for work, for my teaching role. When I was in the 9th grade, I had a teacher, Miss Plunkett, who was my Algebra 1 teacher. The summer before, she had helped with a national project to develop a new way of teaching algebra. And she brought it back to Ponca City High School. And the parents hated it because they couldn't help their kids with their homework. And they went to the principal and demanded that they go back to the old way of teaching algebra. Well, Miss Plunkett was undaunted. And she said, okay, I will do that for most of my classes. But I will come in early every morning if I can have a class of volunteers to come in early every morning, and we will do this new math in that class. And the principal respected her enough, he let her do it. And I was one of the volunteers. And because of that, much of my teaching that I do today is modeled on that woman. Her dedication, her passion, her love for her students, and her willingness to go that extra mile to teach made such an impact on me, I even crossed my Z's in her honor. The second mentor, a member of our club, Lori, one of the reasons I joined Toastmasters. Happy unbirthday, T.A. We're glad you're here. Glad to meet you. She, because of her evaluation skills, I say she's like the general practitioner that you can have just 6 months to live, and when she evaluates you, she'll find something positive to encourage you. I learned something additional from her just about 2 months ago. In our club, we had an icebreaker that was absolutely the worst icebreaker I've ever heard. Now, I'm not saying that to demean this person. I'm saying that to rejoice. She's got so much growth available. It's really exciting. But as I was listening to this speech, I was just counting off the things. I was running out of fingers and toes to count them on. And I thought, if I were going to evaluate her, what would I concentrate on? Because you don't want to hit her with that, for sure. Lori got up to give the evaluation, and the first thing she did was to congratulate her for getting up, for having the determination to join the club, and said, we really have a lot to offer you, and we're really excited that you're here. And she gave her one suggestion. And the suggestion was, when you told your story, you gave us a lot of facts and details, but if you'll pick out 1 or 2 things and tell a story about it, you'll really connect with us. And I thought, what wisdom. Because if you say something negative, remember, now, Michael, the next time you get up to give a speech, I do not want you to think about elephants. And you get up there. And that's all that you can get in your head. But if I tell you something positive to do, she can focus on that. And she can really tell the story. She needs a lot of help, but it's going to come. And it's going to come as she's comfortable and thinks of one thing that she can do. Lori is a great evaluator. My third person who has been a great influence on me is Lark Doley. Now, everybody in my district knows that when I grow up, I want to be Lark. Now, I'm going to have to be younger. I'm going to have to be shorter. And I'm going to have to be tinier. But what I really mean is I want her part of servant leadership. And that has made a real difference in how I have developed as a leader. So look for those leaders and find someone who has a characteristic that you value. Talk with them. Find out what makes them tick. Emulate them. Now, don't become a clone. Even though I'm wearing gold today, I am not the golden lady. And I can't be. But I can be the very best Linda that I can be. So it doesn't matter if you're a square or a circle or a squiggle, and you really are a combination of all of them. There's an opportunity for you to grow as a leader. And if you accept the role of area director, an opportunity not only for you to grow, but for you to be of service to others. And that's how Toastmasters truly is, where leaders are made.